Okay, good evening, everyone. And I know it's now 9:15, and it's good to be here. Carl, this is on the RAEL live stories, huh? Okay.
It is on. It's live, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope you're all well. Do we need the glasses? Don't we need the glasses? Okay. Hi, Alma. Alma, thank you very much for giving me the space to share tonight. I think if you want to do tomorrow night, it'll be great. It's just something that just felt the need to come back and share a bit. And I'll just wait till some people come on. Hi, Duncan. Hope you are well, my friend. Hi, Mick. Beverly, hello. Kinza, hello, my friend. Beverly, hi. Hey, Beverly, my name's Anthony. Huh? Hi, Beverly. Gladwin, my brother. Sandy. It's Anthony. Hi, Conrad, my friend. Okay. Okay, the dogs is just having a bit of war, but that's all okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. All right. Is there any burning issues or anything we need to talk about? The reason I'm using Carl's Facebook is because mine is blocked again, because in Facebook they don't seem to have anything else to do than block people that tell the truth. So they're a left-wing liberal, a bunch of thugs, man, who think they can control freedom of speech. And I will continue to do what I've been doing for years, and I will not stop. Hi, Vanessa. Okay. All right. Okay, Mick, are you freezing anyone there with any birthday celebrations? Anyone pregnant? Anyone about to give birth? Okay. Clutchy, I see Clutchy's on here. Hi, Lee J. Newcastle. Very disappointed today in... I've read the report. Duncan, you can probably tell me more. That Liverpool soccer team took the knee before their game today for Black Lives Matter. I don't know how true that is. It's just I got a SMS. But hi, Carl Welgemoed. We used to work together in the police. Lovely guy, beautiful man. I can't wait to see you, Carl. See you again. You know, it's very strange when we look at addiction recovery, and I just want to thank Kurt for doing last night and doing. Hello, Suzette. For Kurt for doing last night and doing a fine job. And I was watching last night, and he's really grown into a wonderful man. Hello, Frank. Yeah, we got snow, Frank. We got snow around all the mountains here in the Breda Valley. And as Kurt would say, this is, no, I'm only joking, it wasn't Kurt. I'm not going to give you the identity of the man. This is the time that you must be with another man's wife and a bottle of red wine. But that doesn't obviously pertain to us, but that's what a friend always used to say, and it was quite a classic. It is quite cold here. There was a lot of traffic for the snow. The snow was quite hectic, and the traffic was hectic. All right, so... Okay, I think that we can... One of the main reasons that I asked Ure, because Ure does our Christian biblical meeting every Sunday, and he does such a wonderful job. Hello, Yaku. Hi, Tracy. Tracy is struggling with COVID. We pray that you get better, Tracy, and you keep us up to date. There's Cindy van der Sant, one of my main warriors in fighting these evil people. I really appreciate that, Cindy. I really appreciate it. Hello, Elisma. Great to see you. Okay. All right, so we can get going. Is to see, like I said, one of the reasons today I haven't, I never prepare anything, so I just go by the Spirit or what people may ask or people may say. And today would have been my father's 91st birthday. And hi, Leslie, Mickey. Hi, Mickey, Felicity. Hi, Sinette, the best policewoman in the country. She should be a brigadier colonel at least. But unfortunately, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say it, but you can read between the lines there. Hello, Trevor and Renee. Felicity, again. So, my dad would have been 91. And I look back and as a man of 56, I really miss my dad. My dad and I, during my drinking and drugging, hello, Lynn, did not have a particularly close relationship. I think I was very much like my father, besides in the size. My dad was 6'4". He was a massive man, and obviously I loved my father, but a lot of things happened. My dad held his job for 43 years, and a very good job, and he was an alcoholic. Hello, Marita. He was an alcoholic, and I saw a lot of things in my home, hi Colleen, when I was a young man. And I used to hate my dad for that. I used to hate him for what he did in the house, and especially when he drank. And Monday to Thursday was fine, and then come Friday and Saturday, and my dad used to drink hello Johan, and cause pandemonium in the home. There was a lot of abuse. Hi Elise. There was a lot of abuse, and I remember holding my mom's leg at 6 years old and saying thanks Elise, thanks Elsa, and saying to my Mom, I will never pick up a drink in my life, while he was beating my mother up. My dad is resting in heaven tonight, but I hated my father. I hated my father for what, hi Laura, bless you, what he did to my mother. And little did I know that I'd become an alcoholic, and I would go down a very similar path as my father, except in that my father never went to the streets or went to prison. Today, when it was his birthday, and I can't tell my mom, and she's 10, hi Kurt, my brain, where she's 10 meters, or not even 10 meters away from me in a room with her carer, because she's got dementia, like most of you know. I can't tell her, Mom, today would have been Dad's birthday, because my mother still believes that my dad is at work. They were married for 52 years. My dad got dementia. And the first nappy I ever changed, I've got two daughters. One is 19 and one is 15. And the first nappy I ever changed was my dad's. The second nappy I've ever changed in my life was my mother's. And as I sit here tonight and I think, only when I joined Alcoholics Anonymous, the organization that saved my life by the grace of God, only when I joined them did I realize that my dad was not a horrible man. My dad was a sick man. And he was a sick man like I was. And I missed out so many years with my father. My dad was a top sportsman, and he loved going to watch me play. Hi, Gil. Hi, Dominic. He loved watching me go play cricket or rugby or soccer or squash, and I attained very high levels in sport. And I think what hurt my dad the most is that he always invested in my sport. What hurt him the most was I was selected to play at Newlands. I was an 18-year-old youngster. And I got drunk that night before and I never turned up. And they were sitting in the oaks of Newlands, my mum and dad, who never missed the cricket game. Hi, Pearl, Felicity. Because my dream was to go and play cricket overseas. I was 21 and I was asked to go and play cricket in England. But by then, alcohol was more important. And everything that went with the alcohol was more important. The sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Hi, Connie, Karen, was more important. So I've reflected heavily tonight, and that's why I asked Ura to give me the space tonight, because it's respect. Even though this is my wall, it's still respect. I respect what Ura does for this organization, and been my friend for over 30 to 35 years. Dad, as you look down and hi Rebecca and Susie, as you look down on your son, I think I made amends to you before I died, and God was instrumental in sobering me up 2 years before my dad passed away. And I come from a big family. I've got 3 brothers, and I've got an elder sister, and I'm the youngest. And the one day, and there's 2 nurses who can back me up in this, because it's almost an unreal story, is that my dad was at the Robbins Trust in Oudtshoorn old age home. My mom and I first cared for him at our house in Edgemead. Excuse me, and not our house in Edgemead, my mother's house in Edgemead, and my mother and father's house. And we had many nights he'd say to me, Anthony, take me home. Hi, Teresa. Ariana. Take me home. And he was sitting in his lounge, and he used to say to me, Anthony, take me home to my wife. Hi, Laura. And I used to say, but Dad, there's Mom sitting there. And Mom sitting there was crying her eyes out, saying to my dad, Ernie, it's me, it's Patricia. My mom was 9 years old when she met my father. They stayed in observatory together, and my dad was 13. And I used to put my dad in the car. He was big, and we used to walk around into the car, and we'd take a drive from Edgemead, and I'd speak to my dad, and some nights he would tie up his shoes like rugby boots, because he played high level rugby. And I said, okay, Dad, I'll take you home. And we used to go out, and then I used to drive him around Sea Point, Camps Bay, Hart Bay, and then drive him back to Edgemead. This is 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And as we got into the garage, you'd say to me, thank you, my son, I'm at home. I was the black sheep of the family. I was the one that went off the rails. And then I'd go in, and my mom would be sitting there in tears, crying her eyes out. And I'd say, Mom, Dad's okay now. And I would lead him through to the bedroom, and my mom and I would unchange him, or change him, and put him to bed, and then go sit in the lounge and cry. My mom was not only losing her husband, She was losing a man that she had known for 60, 70 years. And often I asked my mom, very often I used to say, Mom, why did you stay with Dad after all those things he did in life? And she said, there's one reason I stayed with your father, because I loved him so much. He was the love of my life from 9 years old. And I couldn't understand how deep the love actually went between my mother and my father. And the one day and my dad was, like I said, 6'4", and we were changing his nappy. And my mom just bent over and put her head on my dad's hip. And she said, Anthony, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I'm finished. And I had a very strong mom. My mom has been my rock for so long. And she's still my rock, even though the state she's in now. And the next day we phoned around for old age homes. And we found a beautiful old age home in Oudtshoorn village. I want to tell you something now what love is. Something that I'd like to experience, what's left in my life. For 7 years, either I with my mom or my mom alone drove from Edgemead to Pinelands, sometimes twice a day, but every night my mom drove there with cooked food and fed my father. In 7 years, my mom missed one night that I went through because she had an eye operation and couldn't go through that night. My mom was dedicated to my dad from the age of 9. And my dad would have been 91 today. He was an incredible person. When he was drunk and aggressive and fighting, I hated my father. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who may be listening tonight who've been through similar circumstances. But when my dad was sober, he was the greatest man alive. He was my hero. Everyone loved my dad. Everyone loved him to the point that they'd come to our house and say, your mom is a strict woman, she takes no crap. And when my father passed away, I was with him the night before, and it's not the dementia or the Alzheimer's that kills you, it's normally pneumonia, and then we'd get a dose of antibiotics. And then my mom and I sat on the Thursday. My dad was getting bronchitis again. And we made the hardest decision of our lives. Just my mom and I. My other brothers and them, they were doing their own thing. And we said that it's time for my dad to go home. We're not going to ask the doctor to prescribe. It's not the doctor that I'll go out with today. It was before her time. And that was the Friday. We phoned the place and said, we're not going to give my dad antibiotics. Just make sure that he's peaceful. Make sure he's comfortable. And we're going to trust God here on this one. And on Saturday night, my mom and I were with my dad. Let me say goodbye. Because we knew it would either be the Sunday or the Monday that my dad will pass. My dad didn't speak for 5 years, excepting on one occasion. And this is what I tell every youngster out there. Make right with your parents. For everyone, not even if you're a youngster or if you're an addict, just make right with your parents. I went into my dad's room at the old age home and I closed the door and there were 2 black nurses there and my mom. And I said, Dad, I want to make amends to you. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you can talk because you haven't spoken for 5 years. My dad just used to sit in a wheelchair and rock. And my mother used to feed him. And I said, Dad, I'm going to tell you my life story. I'm going to tell you things you've never heard before. And I just spoke. And I got all the filth out. And I apologized to my dad. Otherwise it would have killed me. And as I carried speaking on with my father, everything was coming out. And my mom was sitting there in tears. I said, Dad, just forgive me. Forgive me for treating you the way I did when I was drinking and drugging. Just forgive me, Dad. And my dad hadn't spoken for 5 years, not a word. And I got up, and at that stage I was very emotional. And I walked to the door of his ward. And the next minute I just heard this shout, Anthony. It was the first word my dad had spoken in 5 years. He never ever spoke again. He never said a word to anyone. There I'd realized that my dad had accepted my amends. There I realized that my dad had forgiven me. And the Sunday morning when we got the phone call about 9:15, Carl, just get me some toilet paper, please. When we got the phone call at about 9:15, went to my dad, and he was lying in bed, and I kissed him. But I'd made right. I'd made right before it was too late. Excuse me. And then my brothers and them came down, and my sister, and we prepared the funeral, and they asked me to give the eulogy at the funeral. The black sheep. The one who had caused so much pain. But I was also a mommy's boy and a daddy's boy, and I was always there for my father and for my mom. Always. That's one thing I'm proud of. I was always there. Even when I was drinking and drugging, but mainly when I was sober. And I gave the eulogy, and the church was packed because my dad was a very popular man in Edgemead St. Mark's Church. And I told the audience there, because most of them knew I was a drunk. But by that stage I was 2 years sober. And I told them a bit of my life story. That I'm the last person, don't think I'm a hypocrite standing here to tell you what my dad has done in my life. And how much he loved me. And how much I loved him. We said goodbye to Dad, and just my mom and I, we went to Bloberg Strand. There's a bench on that beach that my mother and father used to sit every week. And that's where my mom and I spread his ashes. And we prayed that Dad would go home to Jesus. And a couple of years later, my mom went to a doctor, and the doctor said to her, she needs to have a heart op. Nothing serious, but just a heart op. And I took her to N1 City Hospital, and she got changed into the gown in the ward. And she said to me, Anthony, I feel like something's going to go wrong. I said, don't worry, Mom, there's a professor and a doctor. Nothing's going to go wrong. You'll be fine. I never listened to my mom at that stage. She had a 12-hour operation. The long story short is that the doctor admitted they had made a mistake and not cleaned my mom's heart properly. And she had a stroke on the table. My beloved mom, who I love more than anything in this world, walked into N1 City and came out a vegetable. That very strong woman that stood by me and helped me in everything that I wanted in life. She was like my queen. It's a woman I adored, and I still adore. And then we got home, and the dementia set in. I remember, and I'm not proud of it, excuse me, I remember going back to that doctor, and he was in the wards, and I chased him down the wards. I was going to kill that man. If I look back in retrospect, what would it have helped? And there, one of the most degrading things I ever had to do, because I'd arranged for carers to come to our house in Edgemead. And then I had to change my mom's nappy. I'm not being dramatic here, my friends, but that's the most horrible thing you could do as a man, to change your mother's nappy. And then the carers came, and that was 2015. And I got invited to go to America, and I told my brother, I need to get away. He said, no, but Anthony, what's going to happen? You're in America. What happens if you relapse? Because I was broken. I said, God will be with me, I won't relapse. And I came back, and we booked Mom into an old age home, which started off a good old age home. And then we brought my mom, after 5 years in the old age home, up here to the farm. So I'm just around the corner from Mom. I'm virtually in walking distance of 4 meters to 5 meters to my mother. And it still hurts me every time I look at my mom, because I remember the mother I had. And now she's been loved by my girlfriend, who happens to be a doctor, who cares for her and checks her out medically every day, virtually every day. One of the guys here on the farm, Angus, who went through the program and is now a carer. And another lady carer that give my mom 24-hour care and love. Friends, sometimes, I was in a state where my mom would say, please, Anthony, just come and take me to the restaurant. She loved the wimpy. My mom was a wimpy lady. And I was too busy, but I wasn't too busy. Don't phone your parents and say that. I'm not saying this horribly, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And so I wish there was a telephone line to heaven so I can speak to my mother and my father. Speak to your mother and father when you've got the time to speak to your mother and your mother and your father. My mother used to tell me, Anthony, all I wanted from you was your time. All I wanted was you to come sit and have a cup of tea with me. So today, I just kept it in the whole day. I went out during lunchtime to lovely people to go and have a meal. Lovely meeting them, and I just kept it. I just kept on thinking of what we've done, or let me rephrase this, what I've done to my parents. I know my dad has forgiven me. I know my mom has forgiven me. But I saw love of the highest degree. And that's what's lacking in our world. Is true, honest love. I see people coming into my rehab that's broken through love, where there is no love, where the way some young men speak to their mothers and fathers like they're a piece of trash, where they've got no respect for their moms and dads, and I tell them all, and the meeting I had before this was a meeting on, we went around on respect, morals, values, discipline. Because once that bell rings, it's over. Now, in the meeting this evening, we have a meeting where we just go around and I ask everyone how they are, and how's their day been, and how's their weekend been. I just wish that our people, our country, and even me, could just get closer to God. He's the ultimate healer. We can be as big and bravo as we like. God, you want to organize? And I heard something tonight, and a young man, there were two things I actually wrote down here. A young man by the name of Martin, who's been fighting and fighting and fighting to let go. And I was very lucky through our attorney, Alton Shortlist from Worcester, to get his court case withdrawn. And tonight he just said to me, and he's been fighting. And he said to me, Mr. Hall, I've changed. He's been here 6 months and 1 week, and he leaves at the end of October. And he said, I've changed. I said, what do you mean, Martin? He says, you know, Mr. Hall, you're my father. You are my role model. And I've been fighting you for 6 months because I didn't want to be in a rehab center, even though I've been to other rehabs. And what he said to me was the most uplifting, humbling thing that I've heard from a 24-year-old in my entire life. And then I looked at him and I said, you know, Michael, at 24, my boy, you haven't given up 5 minutes before the miracle. Is there light at the end of the tunnel for us as human beings and addicts and non-addicts and parents? Yes, there is. Of course there is. Depending how long the tunnel is. And I took the best part of 20 years to get out of that tunnel. Honor and obey your parents. Because I wasted so many of those 20 years well, let me just say I wasted the whole of those 20 years on drugs and alcohol and party time. Where I could have spent it with my mother and my father. I've struggled in my life, and most of my life is on Google, so I don't care what people think of me, quite honestly. I've struggled to find what is called love. I love the woman I'm going out with now. But through my drinking and drugging days, I always felt unworthy of love. And people would say to me, you're a strong man, you're out there and people know you, etc. I said, yeah, that's the real me. But when it came down to intimate love, I've always struggled to accept that. I've always felt unworthy of it. I've always felt, even when, excuse me, I was in the height of my business career, and everything was going well, I struggled with it. And I can tell you now, it's something I still struggle with. Am I even worthy of having the love of the woman I've got at the moment? I don't believe in hiding anything, because only the truth shall set me free. Only the truth shall set me free. I couldn't come on here tonight and talk about the weather. I want to thank one person besides my girlfriend. I want to thank Cindy for sticking up for me, Lee J, those people, but one special person I want to thank tonight, and that's Pastor Katrina. What a woman. What a woman of absolute strength. She came to do whole church on our farm this morning, and she comes here once, twice a week. What a woman of strength, of character. And I just want to thank you for bringing God's word to this farm of healing. You'll never know what you really mean to us, Katrina, you and Pastor Marion. You are the two people that bring God closer to this farm. And I respect both of you and your husbands with all my heart. I don't often say to you, Katrina, and to Marion, thank you very much for what you've done, because you do it selflessly. You don't get paid. You do it out of love for your fellow man. Thank you. Thank you for what you do for this man. Thank you what you do for the men on the farm. And thank you that your love of Jesus Christ shines so brightly when one looks into your eyes. The other thing that happened tonight in the meeting was, some of you know him, young Michael, Michelle's mom. I don't know if she's on tonight, I don't think so. He started talking, and Michael has been here almost a year now with broken service. And he just suddenly confessed. He came through a dip, and his mom was scared that he was going to run away again. And he just spoke so beautifully. And he said, I'm here now to do my recovery. Again, not giving up 5 minutes before the miracle. And I'm sure his mother will be very happy to hear those words when I phone her tomorrow. There's a man on here, Carl Welgemoed, that I haven't seen for 30 years. Over 30 years. We were in the police together. He's now got a catering service. What a beautiful man. I don't just carry on the theme, and I just talk in the spirit. I sometimes think that we don't give people the acknowledgement that they deserve while they are still alive. We go to the funeral and we give a eulogy and we tell the person how good they were, how wonderful they were, how they provided, how they did this and did that. But they're lying in a box in front of the altar. Why can't we give compliments and love to people while we're still alive? We can't be envious and jealous of our fellow man. It's not the case of how many TVs we got or how many cars we got. It's a case of how can I help my fellow man. And I can tell you through this last while where I've had my Facebook blocked and I've been under a lot of pressure. Besides Rihanna, who's always with me, who's at home now, the people on Facebook that have virtually protected me is something that made me feel worthy. Made me feel that I'd accomplished something in my life. And you all know who have stood up with me and been brave and taken people on for the truth shall set us free. Coming back to my mom, she's 87. She's there. I don't know. Only God knows. Only God knows. Dementia is terrible. Alzheimer's is a terrible disease. It's close to what you call living dead. It's the most horrible thing I've ever experienced in my life. That both of my parents were taken by dementia, even though my mom is still alive. It's not funny. Never laugh at someone who is disabled. Never laugh at someone who may be less fortunate than us. Never laugh at someone that's got dementia. There, but for the grace of God, you and me never get it. Just there, but for the grace of God, nothing else. It strips a person of all human dignity. And I think a lot of us know what happens in old age homes. They're not treated very well. Thank you all for listening to me tonight. That I didn't know this was going to happen. I apologize for the emotions, but I think I'm just what you see is what you get. And maybe the message of tonight is love. Because that's what Jesus preached, love. Sometimes we forget it, and sometimes I forget it. And sometimes I put that love on the back burner. When I said, am I worthy? And now many people that have been in addiction or been addicts, Carly got a light there, bro, who have been addicts also feel that, am I worthy? Because we go in roller coasters. So when we're high and drunk or whatever, we feel like that we on top of the world. And when we come down, we ask ourselves, Am I worthy? Am I worthy of the love of my parents? Am I worthy to have this job? Am I worthy to have this relationship? And the devil is a liar. And he'll come at any time and snatch away your joy. Because he does not want us to be happy. He does not want us to be following in the steps of Jesus Christ. I'm not a holier than thou man, but I believe in Jesus Christ. And I believe He's our Savior. And I believe that He died for you and for me. And that's why I've been to Israel 3 times. I love the Jews. I've got Israeli flag, flies with the American flag outside my farm. And I've done the Villa Dolorosa walk of Jesus Christ 3 times. I did it with Rihanna and Graham and Richard and Joni just before COVID. I've done it with Karen. I believe that, especially with addicts, if there can just be more love. Where addicts could realize that their parents, I tell them here all the time, I preach on them all the time. Your parents are not going to be there forever. Treat them now with love. Treat them now with respect. Because when you get to my age, you realize what you've done, what you did to them. Because you think they would be there all the time, but they're not. No drug or alcohol will make you feel the love that you get from your mother and your father. You know, we got a pastor that comes here, Angus, who looks after Mom. His father is a pastor, and he comes to help around the house because he can do anything. That man is a handyman of absolute note, and a builder and a perfectionist and an ex-Springbok rugby player from the old days. And when he comes in here, he'll come in here, say on a Tuesday morning, he'll stay for 3 days. And the first thing he'll do, he walks through to my mom's room and he goes to greet. And if Mom's awake, he prays with my mother. And these are people that touch my life. These are people that touch my heart. I'm past the fair weather friends. Because they were my friends when I was drinking and drugging, but as soon as the wallet was empty, they moved on to the next victim, or whoever you are. Carl has gone out again, my brother. Sorry, I was going to light a cigarette here, if you don't mind. So when we come back to the point of love, and I know it's difficult for parents who see their sons wasting away. My mother used to say, Anthony, I'm watching you killing yourself day by day. Now I'm watching my mom, day by day. Life is so fragile. Life is so, it's there and it's not there and it gets taken away in a minute. I'm so very thankful to this group, for the humility of people on this group. We get an average of 3,000 to 5,000 people who watch all our broadcasts every night. They don't come online, they watch it afterwards. There's still a stigma attached to drug addiction, a big stigma. And the humility and the gratitude of people on this group. You're an amazing bunch of people who can make the who can make the difference. I may not be the man to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Men, love your woman, and women, love your men. Love them with everything that you've got. Because sometimes the grass we think is greener on the other side, but we haven't mowed our own lawn. It's not worth giving up some things. And then there's some things where a bridge has been burnt, and then it must stay burnt. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to me tonight and help me share what has been on my heart the whole day. And I pay tribute, absolute tribute, to my mom and dad. The most wonderful people, and I say this with absolute humility, the most wonderful people I've ever met in my entire life. And I will dedicate the life as long as God gives me the strength to make sure that my mother is safe, warm, and comfortable for the rest of her life. God bless you. And I think Carl wants to speak now. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I don't, to be honest, I'm not really quite sure what to say after that. I think everybody here will agree it was an absolutely beautiful share. I think that, I think that Mr. Hall is maybe beautifully demonstrating something that all of us battle with, and he's a true inspiration for, I think, exactly the message that he sent. I don't think there's any one of us that suffer from this disease that don't know what it's like to have broken down our families or broken down our relationships with our folks. And I think that's something that we all hold dear, desperately hoping that one day we can salvage those broken relationships. I think if Mr. Hall's inspired me to do anything, it's most importantly just to say thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you for the valid and beautiful lessons that you're teaching us here every single day. I don't think that I can have watched or listened to that and not in my own heart feel as though I desperately just want to say, Mom and Dad, I love you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate everything you've done for me by standing by me through this recovery. And I think what Mr. Hall does, because this isn't the only time he speaks to us on this topic. Obviously, in the house, this is something we speak about quite often. And as much as I'm doing this for myself, my only hope and obviously my greatest desire is that one day I would make my mother and my father proud. And I think that maybe like some of you, I'm left grateful that they're still here. And grateful that I still have the opportunity to salvage my relationship with the both of them. And even just to watch Mr. Hall here and watch him with his mom, and to realize this is a man that has fought with all of his being to be where he is today. And you can't watch the man with his mom and how much he does for her and not in your own heart feel like one of the gifts of sobriety is the capacity to go back and fight for my own parents, to once again make them proud, I'm grateful that Mr. Hall is giving me this opportunity so that I might still be a champion for my mom and my dad, and that I might still be in a position where when their time comes, I can also take care of them. I think in my home, my mom and dad would always joke and say that I'm their retirement plan, because I'm going to be the one that's going to need to take care of them, when the day comes that they can't do it for themselves. But then I look at Mr. Hall and I look at what he does here, and I look at what he does for his mom here, and it inspires me to want to champion that desperately. So yeah, I think all of us would agree it was an absolutely beautiful share. Mr. Hall, all of us love you dearly. All of our hearts are with you today. I as a young man, I can't imagine what it feels like for you. But I truly do believe that your dad is looking down on you, and that he is incredibly proud of the human being that you've become and the man that you are and what you do for all of us here. And even your mom's, I'm sure that in her heart and in her mind, she's incredibly proud of the son that she has, and it truly is an inspiration for us, Mr. Hall. I think all of us, I think Linky standing next to you himself has shared how much it means to watch what we do with your mom here and watch how much you've done for your mom, and I think that there's nothing more inspiring for the still suffering addict to say, perhaps I can still save that relationship with my loved ones, with my mother and my father. Thank you very much, Mr. Hall. And yes, to everybody that joined us, thank you very much for joining. It was an absolutely beautiful share. I think that to those of us who are addicts who are watching, it gives true emotion and passion to what it is that we stand to gain by fighting for our sobriety, and how much we need to value those people that have stood by us, irrespective of our own wrongdoings or our own mistakes. Yes, and Dominique, you say love your parents while they are here. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's the only commandment that comes with both a blessing and a curse, and that commandment is honor thy mother and father, so that it will go well with you for all of your days. So thank you very much for joining us, guys. If you have the opportunity, please, it only takes a second, like and share the video. I think that messages like Mr. Hall delivered this evening are powerful messages to truly touch the hearts and minds of everybody, whether you are a parent, a mother, or a father who are battling with this issue of addiction, or you yourself are an addict who knows what it's like to throw away relationships, in particular those that are most dear to you, like our parents. This message can touch so many lives, and just might be the inspiration somebody needs sitting at home. Maybe they themselves are on a binge, or they're just busy coming down. Maybe they could watch this and walk out into the lounge and see their mother and father and realize that they have so much left to fight for, and so much left to stand up for and to honor. Thank you, Lee, for posting the link to the RAEL Sober City and the live shares. If you guys can please like and share the video. Never forget that you never know what one like or one share might have for somebody else's life, or how your share might afford the opportunity for somebody else to see this and to save another life. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I think that we all agree it was an absolutely beautiful message. Thank you, Mr. Hall, for the message, and I think I'm expressing the sentiments of everybody here when I say that all of our thoughts are with you today, Mr. Hall. And thank you for what you do for all of us, and thank you for being a champion for this cause for all of us, Mr. Hall. We love you very, very dearly, and we care about you dearly, and we admire your courage, sir, to speak out on this platform and to share your heart and the truth of the depths of your soul with us. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I'm sure that we'll be live again tomorrow night, and like and share the video, please. Again, we never know who it might touch, and thank you for your continued support. I hope that you guys have a beautiful evening. Until we see you guys again soon, love you all. Bye bye.